diabetes everywhere right now. And we're all trying to find an easy way out. And we're judging ourselves. Let's say there's 10 people in this room. And we're all mediocre. But I'm the best of the mediocre people. I now think I'm great. I'm great. We surround ourselves around people that make us feel great. They tell us what we want to hear. The second we put ourselves amongst the uncommon people, we don't like that feeling. That challenging feeling that person we can bring through and say, oh, I'm going for a run. We don't like that challenge. That person who says, hey, oh man, I don't feel good today, man. They say, oh, it's okay, brother. Take a day off. Maybe get pizza once again. We like that. We love that feeling. Why? Because you understand that we're good, bro. We don't want that like this. Hey, man, no, bro. Get you. No, man. Stop being a punk. We don't want that in our lives. We don't want that person's constantly challenging. That person's constantly making us feel nice and good and secure in us. That's the mediocrity of life. We want to be the best amongst the average people. People wonder, how do you stay hungry all the time? Because after I accomplish something, I don't sit back like a lot of guys who graduate buds, graduate this, graduate that. They get comfortable. They wonder why I'm getting weak, man. I don't know, I lost my edge. What's going on? Because once you hit the top of the mountain, guess what happened? I'm good. I'm good. So you wonder why you're falling down now. Because once you hit the top of the mountain, you got another. That's mediocrity. There's a lot of people in mediocrity who have a nice resume. But they're one-timers, man. They hit a one-time deal. They busted up and got a lot of money. They're good. Mediocre now, man. What are you doing today, tomorrow, next day? So I'm listening to this. I'll listen to it. I'll listen to who's like this, man. What's wrong, man? I'm tired. Why are you tired? Because tomorrow, I gotta do it again, man. Whatever it is that made me nauseous or sick to my stomach, it made me hurt. There's no ending. And that's the person I listen to. That's the person who's gaining knowledge. You gain knowledge through suffering. And on the other end of suffering is a world that very few have ever seen. It's a beautiful world. Because that's where you find yourself. You don't find yourself in over here. You find yourself on the other end. Like the 100-mile race I was on, I ran it for 24 hours. I found myself on the other end of that race. That 19 hours, I found, wow, there's a whole new world out here that I've never even saw. Like, the world's in decline. And that's what all that mediocrity is about. Mediocrity is contagious. Most people live their whole lives without ever contemplating what it means to be great. They put all the greats on a pedestal, think of themselves as mere mortals. That's exactly why greatness is. They turn it into some untouchable plane, possible for almost anybody to reach, and it never even crosses their mind to aim. No matter what I'm doing, which I'm not engaged in, I will always aim for greatness, because I know that we are all mere mortals and greatness is possible for anyone and everyone if they are willing to seek it out in their own soul. In godly terms, greatness is a state of letting go of all your faults and imperfections, scavenging every last bit of strength and energy, and putting it to use to excel at whatever you set your mind to, even if some motherfucker out there told you it was impossible. It is a feeling pursued by those rare souls willing to extend themselves beyond reason and pay the cost. In the late 1950s, Captain Joseph Kittinger was a pilot in the Air Force, tapped for experimental aviation and skydiving duty in New Mexico. He wasn't a household name. In fact, hardly anybody knew the first thing about him until August 16, 1960, when he donned a red duct tape pressure suit and pointed an open-sided gun tethered to an unknown-shaped helium balloon. He flew that rig nearly 20 miles high until he reached the thin atmospheric line where everything goes from blue to black. He traveled to a place where the horizon did not exist. It was above and beyond all previously known limitations. Suspended at 102,800 feet, he unclipped his harness and stepped into space. His free fall lasted nearly 5 minutes. His maximum velocity was 614 miles per hour. He plummeted over 80,000 vertical feet before his primary chute opened. This was no Red Bull sponsored party. It wasn't a television show. Kittinger wasn't an entertainer. He was an explorer, a seeker of a new realm for the world. His flight and his jump helped make manned space flight possible. And also for himself. I don't jump to Earth from outer space, but I know that atmospheric line between blue and black. It is the greatness that runs right through the human soul. We all have it. Most of us will never see it because to get there requires a willingness to extend yourself to the limit without any guarantee of success. Then again, success is just another mile marker on the journey. Landing the jump and walking away, or lighting a cigarette as if it were a typical day on the job made Kittinger look cool. But it didn't make it great. His willingness to do it in the first place, knowing that the chances of failure were high and everything it cost him, made him great. It wasn't a stunt to garner fame and publicity. It was merely an attempt to see what was humanly possible and be redefined. Never doubt that we can redefine ourselves. It can feel impossible at times because we live in a world filled with arbitrary boundaries and fixed social lines that are as thick as the walls around a fortress. Worse, we allow those walls to limit us in too many ways. The brainwashing starts early, and it starts at home. The people we grow up with and the environments we grow up in define who we think we are and what we think life is all about. When you're young, you can only know what you see. And if all you are ever exposed to are lazy people, content with mediocrity, or who convince you of your own worthlessness, greatness will remain a fantasy. If you live in the ghetto or in a dying industrial, where buildings are boarded up, addiction is rampant, and schools are a mess, that will factor into the possibilities others envision for you, and you envision for yourself. But even privileged people can feel shackled by their circumstances. The vast majority of parents don't know what greatness looks like, so they are ill-equipped and afraid to encourage big dreams. They want their children to have security and don't want them to experience failure. That's how limited horizons get passed down from generation to generation. Should we really be surprised that almost everybody has a knack for twisting their story to work against themselves? I hear it all the time. Privileged kids say, I have too much, so I cannot develop the skills that you have. The kid that came from nothing will tell me, I don't have enough. Therefore, I cannot develop the skills that you have. No matter where someone is in life, they never fail to confess why they can't get where they need to go. The minute they open their mouths, I see how limited their horizons are. And their sob stories come with the expectation that I will deliver and become their package to the front door. That's not how it works. Mr. Wade, I have to miserably wake up every morning until Indiana, November started. I was miserable. This is your new life. Take it or leave it. There's no happiness behind it. There's no peace behind it. It sucks. It just sucks. And that's the one thing, if I can teach anybody, anything, it just sucks. And it's going to continue to suck. And then one day you get to a special part of your life, that it might get a little bit better. Lose some. Wait, you have to lose, my friend? Sorry, but it's like every fucking day. Because if you're in pounds, you can go out to lose weight, you probably get injured. And then you gotta work on the injury, and then you get even more depressed. It's fine. And then you're hungry, and now you're depressed. It's just a vicious cycle. And if you're not, you have no power, you're gonna continue to fall back in this hole. First Amendment sits back. This is why I cuss. This is what is it? This is what it took for me to be me. Sorry. It didn't take to do this. No, dude, it sucks. This is real, dude. This is real. And every day, I'm step back. This is what I'm telling you, boy. This is exactly what I'm telling you. Every day you wake up, you're gonna probably step back dopamine. There's no dopamine in there. There's nothing. You have nothing. Your hormones are shot. You have to envision something that is more powerful than you. Something has to get you out of bed. And you have to create it. It has to be false. Because you're not it. You're a bad piece of shit. That's the reality. So you have to create a false reality to live in that. Just get to work on yourself. That's the reality. If I had to choose one pervasive mentality in today's culture that I would deem the most dangerous, I would select the victim mentality. Playing the role of the victim means pointing the finger at someone or something outside yourself. Things that are going wrong. This has to do with something called your locus of control. Someone who has an internal locus of control believes that he or she can influence events or outcomes, while someone with an external locus of control blames outside forces, people, circumstances, or even fate for everything. Everywhere I look in today's society, it seems that more and more people have an external locus of control. For example, if someone is having trouble getting a job and they blame it on the current political or economic landscape, they are demonstrating an external locus of control. Or if they often catch colds and blame them on their co-workers or their work environment, that's an external locus of control mindset. Another one is when someone is constantly in debt and they blame inflation or the high cost of living rather than taking responsibility for their own financial planning and budgeting. If someone goes through a divorce or bad breakup and is still in pain 5 years later and blaming it on the ex, that's an external locus of control. Essentially, we are choosing to have an external locus of control anytime that we are pointing the finger away from ourselves for anything going on in our life. Here's the problem with this kind of thinking. It takes away your power. By playing the blame game, you're effectively throwing up your hands and saying, well, I'm a victim, and there's not a damn thing I can do about it. The moment you blame someone else for something you're feeling or experiencing is the moment that you give up your power. By giving your power away, you are making a decision to effectively let life happen to you. You are refusing to take responsibility for your own life. As you might imagine, that can be a very destructive pattern to set. In order to stay connected with our best self, we need to always take responsibility for what happens in our life. We need to find a way to have control, even in moments where it just seems like the world is against us. Sure, bad things happen that are outside of it. But here's the key. We are 100% in control of our reactions to those things. We can choose to spiral into depression, anxiety, anger, resentment, or frustration, and just pull the covers back. We can choose to react in a way that benefits us and those around us. If we fail a test, we can analyze what went wrong and study it in a more effective way before taking it again. If we keep catching a cold, we can learn about how to boost our immunity and overall health. The list goes on and on. But the bottom line is that we have a choice. Blame someone or something else that we can't control. Find a way we can take responsibility and change what we're doing so we can change the outcome. I wanted that comfort zone that everybody looks for, that pat on the back. They don't want to hear all the bad stuff. They want to hear everything that to do with right. And I realized that's what kept me in this world. That's what kept me in this world of not accomplishing anything. So what I did was I became that big, bad, nasty that you don't want to walk into at nighttime. I became the roughest critic in the world of myself. And that's what changed me. I literally saw myself in the mirror. I saw the truth. Versus saying, my dad did this to me for beating me. Kids at school for calling me. I did this to me. My life did this to me. My broken foundation did this to me. I took that and said, you know what, Lord? Some people may help this happen, but now I have to own this. No one's going to come back to save me. I was gonna come back on the couch and say, hey, it's okay. You're gonna be okay. No, I'm not. I'm not gonna be okay. I had to realize I had to take a stand. I had to make a real stand. And it was painful to look at who I was. But the world and myself created. It created a very lonely, depressed, insecure man that would do anything just to have a friend. And I saw that as very pathetic. When you look at the truth, it becomes very ugly and pathetic. So I used to coach a lot of people. I'm a coach different. So what my first question was, okay, what do you want to give up? What are you going to sacrifice? What are you willing to forgo? Because a lot of people, like this guy came one time, I was a trainer. He goes, man, I can stop doing anything but my friend achievements. Don't forget it. Because I'm looking for that person like me. It's hard for people to understand how I lost 6 pounds in less than 3 months. I sat down at the table. I said to myself, what do you do to get it? Everything.
300 down.
People come to me. That kind of mindset I can work with. When you are willing to strip yourself down to nothing and give everything, that's who I am. Because now I can mold you into exactly who you want to be. When you put these restrictions on, and that's what my first question is. How bad do you want this? If it's as bad as you want to live, sleep, whatever the hell it may be, I can work with a lot of people. Most people don't want it that badly. So they always ask the question, how do you get to it? You know exactly how to be you, how to be me. You don't want to do it. So I can't make you, in order to have the time or energy, to force you into that place that I know you have to be to do it. There's no luck in this game, man. It may be a little fun, but the luck happens after you bust your ass and you put yourself in that lucky situation. Luck doesn't happen. You put yourself in that situation, luck might happen. And that's what people don't know. But to get there, luck ain't gonna happen. You have to put yourself in that situation, man. It takes a lot of work. Our culture has become hooked on the quick fix, the life hack, the efficiency. Everyone is on the hunt for that simple action algorithm that nets maximum profit, least amount of effort. There's no denying this attitude to get yourself. So success, luck, will not lead to the callous mind of self-mastery. If you want to master the mind and the will, you have to become addicted to hard. Passion and obsession, talent, only useful tools if you have work ethic to back them up. My work ethic is the single most important factor in all of my accomplishments. Everything else is secondary. And when it comes to hard work, whether in the gym or on the job, the 40 rule applies. To me, a 40-hour work week is a 40% effort. It may be satisfactory, but that's another word for mediocrity. Don't settle for a 40-hour work week. There are 168 hours in a week. That means you have the hours to put in that extra time to work without skipping on your exercise. It means streamlining your nutrition, spending quality time, wife and kids. It means scheduling your life like your 24-hour mission every single day. The number one excuse I hear from people as to why they don't work out as much as they want to is that they don't have time. But we all have work obligations. None of us want to lose sleep. And you'll need time with the family, with a trip. Yeah, I get it. And if that's your situation, you must win the living. When I was full-time with the SEALs, I maximized the dark hours of the dawn. When my wife was sleeping, I would bang out a 6 to 10 mile run. My gear was all laid out at night. Lunch was back, and my work clothes, my life, shower for next to it. I'd be out the door for and back by 5:15. Since that wasn't enough for me, and because we only owned one car, I rode my bike. I finally got motion. 25 7:30 a.m. to noon and eat at my desk before or after my lunch break. During the lunch hour, I'd hit the gym or do a 4 to 6 mile beach run, work the afternoon shift, and hop on my bike 25 miles. By the time I was home at 7 p.m., I'd have run about 15 miles, walked 50 miles, bike, and put in a full day at the office. I was always home for dinner and in bed by 10 p.m., so I could do it all over again the next day. Saturdays, I'd sleep in until Saturday and hit a 3-hour workout and spend the rest of the weekend at the game. I didn't have a race. Sundays, my active recovery days. An easy ride and a low heart rate, keeping my pulse below 110 beats per minute to stimulate healthy blood flow. Maybe you think I'm a special case of obsessive behavior. Fine, I won't argue with you. What about my friend Mike? He's a big-time financial advisor in New York City. His job is high pressure, and his workday is a hell of a lot longer than 8 hours. He has a wife and 2 kids, and he's an ultra runner. Here's how he does it. He wakes up at 4 a.m. Every weekday, runs 60 to 90 minutes each morning while his family is asleep. Rides a bike to work and back and does a quick 30-minute trip after he gets home. He goes out for longer runs on weekends, but he minimizes its impact on his family and vacation. He's high-powered, wealthy as and can easily maintain a status quo with less effort and enjoy the sweet fruits of his labors. But he finds a way to stay there because his labors are his sweetest fruits. And he makes time to get it all in, minimizing the amount of energy, schedule. His priorities are clear. He remains dedicated to his priorities. I'm not talking about your priorities here either. Each hour of his week is dedicated to a particular task. And when that hour shows up in real time, he focuses 100% on that task. That's how I do it too, because that is the only way to minimize wasted hours. Evaluate your life in its totality. We all waste so much time doing meaningless bull. We burn hours on social media and watch television, which by the end of the year would add up to entire days and weeks with tabulated time to do tasks. You should, because if you knew the truth, you'd deactivate your Facebook account stack and cut your cable. Find yourself having frivolous conversations or becoming ensnared in activities that don't better you in any way. Never pick the easy road. Never. Never. And it always goes back to kind of the hero mentality. Never pick the easy road. Ever in your life. That is the one road that is due. It is due. If you want something like 6-minute abs, all these different things, if you want it so fast, you may achieve what you want. But you want the permanent fix. The permanent fix comes from the hard road. The hard road gives you permanent fix. The easy road gives you the quick fix. You will go back to where you started on the easy route. That hard route is so permanent that it ends up callousing you everywhere. Everywhere.
Keep a six-pack forever.
You keep it. Because you know the work that goes into it. I know how it feels to be approaching an energetic dead end. I've been there too many times to count. I understand the temptations. I also know that impulse is driven by your mind's desire for comfort. It's not telling you the truth. It's your identity that finds sanction. It's looking for status quo, reaching for greatness, or seeking wholeness. The software update that you need to shut your governor down is no supersonic download. It takes 20 years to gain 20 years of experience. And the only way to move beyond your 40% is to callous your mind day after day, which means you have to chase pain like it's your damn job. Imagine you're a boxer, and on your first day in the ring, you take one on your chin. It's gonna hurt like hell, but at year 10 of being a boxer, you won't be stopped by one punch. You'll be able to absorb 12 rounds of getting beat down and come back the very next day and fight again. It's not that the punch has lost power. Opponents will be even stronger. The change has happened within your brain. You've calloused your mind over a period of time. Your tolerance for mental and physical suffering will have expanded because your sufferer will learn that you can take a hell of a lot more. And if you stay with any task that is trying to beat you down, it will reap. Not a fire. Say you like to run and have a broken toe. But if you continue running on it, pretty soon you'll be able to run on broken legs. Sounds impossible, right? I know it's true because I run on broken legs, and that knowledge helped me endure one band of agony, which has revealed a clear spring of self-confidence that I drink from whenever my tank is dry. Nobody taps their reserve 60% right away. First step is to remember that your initial blast of panic fatigue is your governor talking. Once you do that, you are in control of the dialogue of your mind. You can remind yourself that you are not as drained as you think, that you haven't given it your not even close. Buying into that will keep you in the fight, and that's worth an extra 5%. Of course, that's easier read than done. It wasn't easy to begin the fourth lap. I knew how much it would hurt, and when you are feeling dead and buried, how you're run out and torn the fuck up at 40%. Finding that extra 60% feels impossible. I didn't want my suffering to continue. Nobody does. That's why the line fatigue makes cowards of us all this truish. Mind you, I didn't know anything about the 40 rule that day. The hurt 100 is when I first started contemplating, but I had hit the wall many times before. And I had learned to stay present and open-minded enough to recalibrate my goals, even at my lowest. I knew that staying in the fight is always the hardest and most rewarding first step. Of course, it's easy to be open-minded and being open as and take control. If you're suffering, keeping an open mind is hard work. The same is true if you're facing a daunting challenge on the job or at school. Maybe you're tagging a 100-question test and know that you've bricked the first 50. At that point, it's extremely difficult to maintain the necessary discipline. Force yourself to keep taking the test seriously. It's also imperative that you find it because in every failure there is something to gain, even if it's only practice for the next test you have to take. Because that next test is coming. That's a guarantee. It's not about suffering and how people may look at suffering. Like you have to just go to a place that just every day of your life is suffering. You have to tap into suffering every day of your life because we have so much scarring that we have to clean up. You have to look at suffering as almost like I look at failure. To succeed, you must fail. In failure and in suffering, all the answers are in there. All the answers to all the test questions. The test is your life. All the answers are in there. You don't have to live in suffering and pain and failure all the time. You have to learn, I need to visit it. Like people hate working out. Then you're going to visit working out maybe an hour a day. 23 other hours a day, you're not in it. But how you become in shape is you must visit suffering, visit working out 1 hour a day. Visit suffering 1 hour a day. Visit your past failures 1 hour a day. The relationship with it and the answers are in there. They are in there. But in the suffering, go in there, and I call it the live autopsy. The live autopsy, how do you find out someone died? They crack you open after you're dead. How you can live is do it while you're alive. Go back in your brain, crack it open while you're alive. Don't wait until you're dead to figure out why you died. Do it while you are living. Go in there, go into the suffering. Go into the pain of your life and say, why did this suffer me so bad? Why am I afraid of all this stuff? Why have I shut down the whole world? I guarantee I'll tell you why you shut down the whole world. It's in these nooks of the suffering within your brain, in the scarring, are all the answers to why you are on the couch feeling sorry for yourself. They lie in this box. Visit them for at least an hour a day, study them, and then you'll find out more about yourself. They grow. So don't look at it as every day of suffering. Go into it an hour a day. Learn from yourself, learn from life, learn from your failures, learn from your insecurities, learn from your self-doubt. Don't just say, I'm afraid to jump off an airplane. What makes you afraid of it? Study it. That's why I studied my mind. Why I became so powerful in the mind? Because I realized I was weak. So instead of running away from the mind, I dove into it and said, what is making me weak? Oh, this makes sense. I came from hell. I came from a place that beat me down to nothing, which is why I'm afraid. All this makes sense. So systematically, one by one, I went back and met every single person in my mind, every situation. I went one-on-one with them again, in my mind, and said, okay, let's now revisit this. And that's how you do it. That's how it works. For you to constantly win, with this voice over here, and really, and say again, go. You've always been, and it's true. That's a true voice. That's the real reality of David Goggins at 24 years old. It's not a false reality. And then you had to create another voice over here. And that same you're better than that other. And you're the freezing cold water that made both voices go. But you win. And goes from the water to the study, to the running, to losing weight, to how you function as a man. Every day of your life, you put in these battles. And then I have normal people. They have one voice. They were created the second voice. The winning voice is the second voice. They're the one voice. And that's just a piece of shit. And that's all they do. And then they judge people like me. We're out here trying to get better. It's something that I can never really. It's a frustrating thing for me. I know majority of people. And it goes on and break. I stay. I'm more than almost done. I'm a practitioner. So for you to be a piece of shit and come out of that, you don't just come out of it. You spend decades studying the pure mind and the human on how to function in good environments, bad environments, stressful environments, patient environments. You studied all because you had to put all this together to create the mind to become successful. So I had to, God bless me with this brain, I had to create a mind. And so in doing so, I figured out every piece of human being in the world because that's what I was going off of for myself. So I know why you go. I know why you, because you just have the time. You have the time because you don't want to put that time into bettering oneself. So I know about this one. Misunderstood by people who have plenty of time in advance to misunderstand me because they are exactly those ones. It's a low-life, lazy piece of shit. There's a harsh reality of being troll you, go after you, and nothing better to do with their lives. It's not some after school special. It's the truth about it once was that way. I know we're all comfortable. That's why it's frustrating me now, because I'm not so frustrated at the fact that I'm being trolled. Frustrated by the fact that you have the courage to try to be somebody better than what you're not. That's the frustrating. Most people live their lives without ever contemplating what it means to be great. They put all their greats on a pedestal and think of themselves as miracles. And that's exactly what greatness is. They turn it into some untouchable plane, impossible for almost anybody to reach. And it never even crosses their mind to aim for. No matter what I'm doing, which I'm engaged in, I always aim for greatness because I know that we are all mere mortals. Greatness is possible. Anyone and everyone, if they are willing to seek it out in their own soul. In godlish terms, greatness is the state of letting go of all your faults and imperfections, scavenging every last bit of strength and energy, and putting it to use to excel at whatever you set your mind to. Even if some motherfucker out there told you it was impossible, It is a feeling pursued by those rare souls willing to extend themselves beyond reason and pay the cost. In the late 1950s, Captain Joseph Kittinger was a pilot in the Air Force, tapped for experimental aviation and skydiving duty in Mexico. He wasn't a household name. In fact, if anybody knew first thing about him until August 16, 1960, when he red duct tape pressure suit and wore an open-sided gondola tethered to an onion-shaped helium balloon. He flew that rig nearly 20 miles high until he reached the thin atmospheric line where everything goes from blue to black. He traveled to a place where the horizon did not exist. He was above and beyond all previously known limitations. Suspended at 102,800 feet, he unclipped his harness and stepped into space. His free fall lasted nearly 5 minutes. His maximum velocity was 614 miles per hour. He plummeted over 80,000 vertical feet before his primary chute opened. This was no Red Bull sponsored party. It wasn't a television show. Kittinger wasn't an entertainer. He was an explorer, a seeker of a new realm for the world. His flight and his jump helped make man's space flight possible. And also for himself. I don't jump to Earth from outer space, but I know that atmospheric line between. It is the glimmer of greatness that runs right through the humans. We all have it. Most of us will never see it because to get there requires a willingness to extend yourself to the limit without any guarantee of success. Then again, success is just another mile out of the journey. Landing the jump and walking away while lighting a cigarette as if it were a typical day of the job made Kittinger look cool. But it did make him great. His willingness to do it in the first place, knowing that the chances of failure were high and everything it cost him, made him great. It wasn't a stunt to garner fame and publicity. It was merely an attempt to see what was humanly possible. Just as words can be redefined, never doubt that we can redefine ourselves. It can feel impossible at times because we live in a world filled with arbitrary boundaries and fixed social lines that are as thick as the walls we use. Worse, we allow those walls to limit us in too many ways. The brainwashing starts early, and it starts at home. People we grew up with and the environments we grew up in define who we think we are and what we think life is all about. When you're young, you can only know what you see. And if all you were ever exposed to were lazy people, content with mediocrity, will convince you of your own worthlessness, greatness will remain in place. If you live in the ghetto in a dying industrial town where buildings are boarded up, addiction runs rampant, and schools are a mess, that will factor in the possibilities others envision and you envision for yourself. But even privileged people can feel shackled by their circumstances. The vast majority of parents don't know what greatness looks like, so they are ill-equipped and afraid to encourage big dreams. They want their children to have security and don't want them to experience failure. That's how limited horizons get passed down from generation to generation. We really be surprised that almost everybody has a knack for twisting their story to work against themselves. I hear it all the time. Privileged kids say, I have too much, so I cannot develop the skills that you have. The kid that came from nothing will tell me, I don't have enough. Therefore, I cannot develop the skills that you have. No matter where someone is in life, they never fail to confess why they can't get where they need to go. The minute they open their mouths, I see how limited their horizons are. And their sob stories come with the expectation that I will deliver a become great package to their front door. But that's not how it works. To this day, it is for me to become better mentally. How I look has just become like I have thousands, hundreds of thousands of miles on this body. Running, pull-ups, push-ups, swimming, whatever you want to call it. This body is what it is now. It's from repetition. It's not from studying, hey, if you hold the plank for this long, I don't care about it. I just do it for my mind. Right. I want to continue to harden because that's the only thing I want. That's what I want. I want to have that mind ready for life. Identity is a trap that will keep you in blinders if you let it. Sometimes identity is what we are saddled with as society. Other times it's category claim. It can be empowering to associate yourself with a particular culture, job, lifestyle. But it can also be limiting. If you stick with your own too closely, you will be susceptible to groupthink, and you may never learn who you really are, what you can accomplish. I know people who are so obsessed with landing a specific job that once they settle into that role, they clip their own wings. They never moved on or attempted to try anything new, and that blocked them from evolving and developing new skills. Sometimes we are misled by others who categorize us based on what they perceive as our identity. When I met with Navy recruiters, several tried to steer me away from SEAL training and into a different opportunity because I didn't fit the mold. I was overweight, my ASVAB scores were low, and there was my skin color. Remember, I was only the 36th Black Navy SEAL. The recruiters weren't trying to hurt me, and I don't believe they were racist. They honestly thought they could help me by presenting realistic options. Usually, however, we mislead ourselves. Those of us who struggle with our self-worth, like I was as a child, who build identities around the very things that haunt us the most. Not because we want to, but because subconsciously we are convinced that is how everyone else sees us. You cannot allow what someone else may or may not think about you or the issues you're dealing with to stop your progress. My environment and my history made me over-anxious and stressed out. The color of my skin made me mark. I was prejudged and vulnerable at almost every turn. It was my job to defy all of that. No matter how troubled or hopeless or sheltered your environment is, it is your job, your obligation, your duty, and your responsibility to yourself to find the blue to black line, that glimmer buried in your soul, and seek greatness. Nobody can show you that glimmer. You must do the work to discover it on your own. There are no prerequisites to becoming great. You could be raised by a pack of wolves. You could be homeless and illiterate at 30 years old and graduate from Harvard at 40. You could be one of the most accomplished mothers in the country, still be hungrier and work harder than everybody else you know as you attempt to conquer a new field. And it all starts with a commitment to looking beyond your own door, beyond your street, town, state, or nationality, beyond culture and identity. Only then can true self-exploration begin. After that comes the real work. Fighting those demons every morning and all day long is maddening because they only ever want to break you down. They don't encourage you or make you feel good about yourself or your long odds as you fight through all the toxic mold encrusted in self-hate, doubt, and loneliness. They want to limit you. They want you to surrender and retreat back to what you know. They want you to quit before you get to pliability, where the sacrifice of hard work and isolation that felt so heavy for so long become your haven, where after struggling to visualize greatness for years, it is effortless. That's when momentum will gather like an updraft and send you airborne and spiraling toward the outer limits of your normal. It's time to level it up and seek out that blue to black line, the line that separates good from great. It is within each one of us. You have to remind yourself, we all have a story. All of us have gone through very hard times. But when we're in a hard time, our mind has a way of forgetting what all we've overcome. I have a way of taking 1 second when I want to quit and say, okay, you endured this. So I look at my life and how I came up at the ultimate training ground. Versus most people look at it as why? Woe is me, God, why? Exactly. Why? I had to flip this upside down and say, hang on a second. God was training me to be one of the baddest middle players. That's how this was my journey. Because those things beat me, but it didn't kill me. And I was able to work around them and figure out ways to do it. So when I was in the worst time of my life in Hell Week, I looked at everybody and said, I'm the most trained person here. I've gone through more mental torture than any of y'all even fathom. So I'm looking at the baddest people on the planet. I'm looking at them like this. You guys can't hold this thing. So I started looking at verses like Philomena, verses like, I'm not the baddest person to come here. Who could have, who would this all? Who could have been given sewer to live in their mind and say, okay, at birth, I'm going to put you in the worst place on planet Earth. And let me see if you can go to the top of the mountain with nothing, with just hard work, grit, and figure it out, and not putting yourself back in the dungeon every time something got hard. So that's what became my daily voice was, you really are the baddest person on our planet.
Bruce, talk me through the same thoughts on your the language today. Just how so much ways to understand things.
Thank you guys for having me. Excited, very excited. I came with the single film, beautiful performances for you guys, and I can't wait. Let's do it.
So when you're going fucking hard and you grind all the time, like everybody knows 24 hours a day, if I'm in the shower, it's a mental aid station. I don't think about shit. I don't think about people. I don't think about beautiful things. I don't think about the mental aid station. When I'm for eating, mental aid station. So people eat and they never come out so man. So I can grind hard. Because a lot of times in aid stations, so many people, they need to have a 5K, a 10K. I need to have a course in front of me. I need to have something in front of me to get my fucking deuces. And that used to be me. And nowadays, you know, past 20-some years, I don't need a purpose. And people miss out on this, man. Purpose. We're all looking for this golden purpose. Is it this? Is it that? Is it making money? Is it my family? The purpose is you. You forget that every fucking day I wake up, I don't want to do something. Like, okay, man, do you want to be good today? Do you want to feel like a little bit before walking around today, knowing that you could, but you didn't? So it's fulfilled without purpose. You have to learn how to get up and do shit. You ain't got no fucking 5K, no 10K, nothing. Nothing exists. Your life, it sucks. You're in the fucking dungeon. You gotta still go to get it. Because when that time comes, because time is gonna come, and that purpose is there. You're ready. But this is not ready because you have to do without having the golden carrot for us. And so, you know, my decision was to be the best person I could. And I basically, a lot of mornings I wake up and say, yo, here it is. And that doesn't mean like, you know, don't take it literally, your feelings. But sometimes you have to go beyond what you're feeling. I got to the point in my life where I realized this is life. And so I move on past these real quick. So people are like, oh my God, what are you going to do, Dave, if you can't run? I'll swim. Or I'm going to college, or I do something else. And this, like this isn't my life. So I'm very aware how quick life can take from you. And I've always prepared my mind for the next chapter. And what happened with me was I started to think of front loading. So when I was young, I used to be a little piece of shit. You know, like, oh, I'm not good enough, I can't do this, I can't do that. The second I got my head out of that, and I realized, man, you can achieve a lot of stuff. You get out there, you start moving, you start motivating yourself. Try to get a self-motivator. So I started front loading. And front loading is people like, man, you've done so much by 47. Because I don't know what tomorrow's gonna bring me. So my military resume is fat. You know, I did a lot of military. I did a lot outside the military. I've made money. I've practiced every race out there. I've raced fucking cool for English. So when these bad times come, and also like that, worth it. So you can enjoy it. You can take the shot. You know, you may not have lived to be old. What if you do? And you work out when you were able, and you were able to get up with every grind. If you front load it properly, the back half of your life is money. That's what I did. The second I realized that, man, you are a piece of shit, you gotta get going. Because at 47, man, you're not gonna be able to do any of this shit. 50, whatever you are. So I front loaded. So all these bad things that happened to me, I said, man, how are you handling this so well? Well, fuck, I've done it. I followed it. I have the money I need, I have the success I need, I have the determination to look out and also proud of myself. So I've been here. I followed it perfectly. Okay, listen. No, most people just look at me as the guy that runs, yells as he's running. And that's, well, I do that, to motivate people. But people don't understand that my day is broken up into segments. I work out, I eat, I sleep, I spend most of my time studying. So like, I'm in the medical world, I'm a paramedic in Canada, but I spend a lot of my time trying to newt every single thing about it, because I'm not trying to just be a paramedic, learn about veins and arteries, how the heart pumps, stuff like that. I'm trying to learn to the point where I can save someone's life. And even though paramedics are doing that all over the world, I'm trying to be that paramedic that can really dissect exactly what's going on and figure out, what medication goes where. Just trying to, be an algorithm of this. So that's my time. I'm not a real smart guy. And what I mean by that is I was born ADHD. My brain cannot retain information. I'm not some genetic freak when it comes to running, when it comes to lifting weights. I am absolutely operator. And people never believe it. They can just, leave it to them. So when you ask me this question about studying life, I have to go over the same page over and over and over again. While Jennifer can look at that page, while she's, quizzing me, she'll learn it right then. As she doesn't know anything about it, she quiz herself, quiz me, and learn it as she's quizzing. It's the most frustrating thing in the world how my brain works. So what I do is I literally sit there with a pen and paper, and I have my books, and I go through and I write everything down. Every single day, I was studying the same page until this photographic memory. From writing the same thing down, and then from there, I relearn again. So I'll learn the bulk of it, but then I'll go through and learn the small things within that. So if it's a medication, I'll learn what the medication does. First, I'll learn how to even say the medication. Because these medications are it's a very big word, so I really don't know how to say it. And I'll go through with the differences. And I'll go through, and it's like every single day. It's not like, oh, I got it. Let's just go through. No, nothing is I got it. Every single thing, I can't wait to get in this conversation, because everything I do in life, it sucks. Everything I do in life, it sucks. That's why when I was 300 pounds, I'm 24 years old, I had this big epiphany. Let's just go be a Navy SEAL. Let's lose some weight. No, I knew my entire life was going to be a struggle, which is why I just ignored it. And I said, I'm not even trying to jump off into this and learn how to read, how to write, how to memorize, how to become something I am not. But through that process, something happened. And I realized this is why I feel sorry for no one. How my mind is wired now is that everything I do is what I do. Because the focus it takes for me to I'm running.
Style pre-workout.
I'm not like injury. So like my first 40 minutes to run, I'm limping. I'm literally limping because I've had several knee surgeries and my body was twisted. And so now I'm twisted. So people look at me, oh, he's limping. I am. Body jacked up, so I'm focused on how to get the best out of the broken body. Everything I do is a total focus of what I'm doing at that moment. But like when I was going to school, I'll never forget, I think I was in 3rd grade. And back then, ADHD wasn't like, here's this medicine, or here's this thing. They were special. So for me, I was so far behind in learning that their big thing was, let's just put him in a special school because he'll never learn. And through that process, I was like, I don't want to be in a special school. I don't want to be treated any differently. it really, like, I never took the medication. I've never taken medication for this. That's why right now you see me looking right in your eyes. What the hell is treating the same right now? And that's why I have ADHD, who have learning disabilities. And some are impossible because you just can't. But a lot of them you can. And but people don't want to go through the process of focus. Teaching yourself how to truly focus. This is where my message gets lost. It gets lost because I may say, yeah, man, I mean, because that's the passion that comes out of me, because it takes everything for me to learn a sentence. So when I speak about David Goggins, I can't speak about David Goggins, man, that's just how. Because when I wake up, I know the journey that it takes for me to find my greatness, and it's hard. Nothing is easy. Nothing is like, oh, I wake up and I just do this, I do that. It just, I watch people every day and it's like, it's so easy. For me to be where I'm at today, it takes every bit of me. So when I speak about it, and I get going here, you'll start seeing me, the tempo will rise, the passion will come out, because I'm back there. I'm doing what I do every day.